Judaism from the mouths of Jews.
Highly esteemed Rabbi Abraham Isaac Cook succinctly explained the nature of the Gentile soul according to the tenets of Judaism. The difference between a Jewish soul and souls of non-Jews, all of them in all different levels, is greater and deeper than the difference between a human soul and the souls of cattle. Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneerson adamantly insisted that the world know that Gentile souls derive from three Satanic spheres, unlike the divine souls of Jews. The difference between a Jewish and a non-Jewish person stems from the common expression, "let us differentiate." Thus, we do not have a case of profound change in which a person is merely on a superior level. Rather, we have a case of "let us differentiate" between totally different species. This is what needs to be said about the body. The body of a Jewish person is of a totally different quality from the body of members of all nations of the world. The old rabbi, a pseudonym for one of the holy Lubavitch rabbis, explained that the passage in chapter 49 of Hatanya, the basic book of Chabad, "and you have chosen us," the Jews, means specifically that the Jewish body was chosen by God, because a choice is thus made between outwardly similar things. The Jewish body looks as if it were in substance similar to bodies of non-Jews, but the meaning is that the bodies only seem to be similar in material substance, outward look, and superficial quality. The difference of the inner quality, however, is so great that the bodies should be considered as completely different species. This is the reason why the Talmud states that there is an halakhic difference in attitude about the bodies of non-Jews, as opposed to the bodies of Jews. Their bodies are in vain. An even greater difference exists in regard to the soul. Two contrary types of soul exist. A non-Jewish soul comes from three Satanic spheres, while the Jewish soul stems from holiness. That last line bears repeating. Two contrary types of soul exist. A non-Jewish soul comes from three Satanic spheres, while the Jewish soul stems from holiness. The grand Kabbalist Isaac Luria said, "Israel possesses the three levels of soul nefesh, ruach, neshama, from holiness. The Gentiles, however, possess only the level of nefesh from the feminine side of the shells, for the souls of the nations, which come from the klipot shells, are called evil and not good, since they are created without knowledge, dayat. The animal soul of man is the good and evil inclination. The soul of the Gentiles comes from the three shells, wind, cloud, and fire, all of them evil. So is the case with impure animals, beasts, and birds. However, the animal soul of Israel and the animal soul of pure animals, beasts, and birds all come from Klipat Nogah." The influential Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin clearly stated that the souls of the Goyim are Satanic. Before the giving of the Torah, the souls of the nations and of Israel were all at one level, for good and evil, and the filth of the snake were all combined. When Israel received the Torah and were chosen to be a special nation, the filth ceased to exist in them, and consequently the roots of their souls were separated from those of the Gentiles. And all the good was rooted and set aside for the souls of Israel, and all the evil found root in the souls of the other nations, for they all are part of the evil and Satan's camp. For the nations whose inner essence lacks any root of holiness can easily be caused to falter, which is not the case concerning the holiness of Israel, who in their inner roots are clinging to God. For the source of the souls of Israel is from a different chamber than the souls of the other nations, and this soul has no connection whatsoever with the soul of the nations. Therefore, even if one converted to idolatry, he is still considered a Jew with regards to the laws of marriage and divorce. The first Rebbe of Chabad Lubavitch, Shnoya Zalman, wrote in his guidebook to his followers, the Tanya, that the souls of the Goyim are entirely evil with no redeeming virtues whatsoever, and derive from the Sitra Achra and shattered vessels of evil. The souls of the nations of the world, however, emanating from the other unclean Kelipot, which contain no good whatsoever, as is written in Eitz Haim, Portal 49, Chapter 3, that all the good that the nations do is done out of selfish motives. Premier Kabbalist Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto writes that, from the deepest matters in his direction of the world, may he be blessed, is that matter of Israel and the other nations of the world. For from the angle of man's nature they truly appear to be the same, but from the angle of the Torah they are completely and greatly different, distinct like two completely differing species. The Kabbalistic Zohar authoritatively claims that the souls of the Goyim are the impurity of Satan, and Jews embody holiness. Similarly, on the other side of impurity, the spirit spreading through the other nations emerges from the side of impurity. It is not human, and so does not attain this name. The name of that spirit is impure, not attaining the name human, having no share in it. Its body is a garment of that impure, flesh of impure, impure within, flesh, its garment. So as long as that spirit abides in that body, it is called impure. Once the spirit emerges from that garment, it is not called impure. That garment does not attain the name. Spectres below, melted in the smelting of this spirit, are figured into figures clothed in another garment, such as figures of animals of impurity, of which the Torah opens. These shall be impure for you, Leviticus chapter 11, verse 29, such as the pig and the birds and animals of that side. The spirit attains that name, the body is its garment, and is called flesh of pig, pig within. Flesh, its garment. So the two sides diverge. These are comprised in the mystery of human, those in the mystery of impure. Each kind follows its own, returning to its own kind. Rabbi Abba said, soul of the living being, namely Israel, for they are scions of the Blessed Holy One, and their holy souls derive from him. The soul of other nations, whence does it come? Rabbi Elazar said, from those impure aspects of the left, defiling them and anyone approaching them. By far the greatest authority on Judaism of his day, Johann Andreas Eisenmenger documented the belief that Goyim bear satanic souls and that the Jews have holy souls. In the great Yalkut Reubeni, in the Parasha Bereshith, we have the following passage. The skin and the flesh is the coat of a man. The spirit within is the man. But the idolaters, meaning all the nations but the Jewish, are not called men, because their souls have their origin from the unclean spirit. But the souls of the Israelites are derived from the Holy Spirit. And a little farther on in the same treatise, it is said an Israelite is called a man, because his soul cometh from the supreme man. But an idolater, whose soul cometh from the unclean spirit, is called a swine. If so, then is an idolater the body and soul of a swine. In another part of the said treatise, entitled Shah Olam Hatobu, there is a passage running thus. The wicked are styled the dead in their lifetime, because they have not a holy soul from the foundation, which is called him that liveth for ever. But they have the soul from Kelipher, i.e. the shell, by which is meant the devil, who is called death, and the shadow of death, and through the sparklings of the same they live. The little Yalkut Reubeni, in the part entitled Neshama, from the little treatise Tufharez, gives us the following account of the regions where the souls of the 70 nations before they enter into human life. In the expanses, or 7 firmaments, are 7 planets: Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. And in these expanses abide the souls of the 70 nations, each planet having the dominion of 10 nations. But under the sphere of the Moon, which is last of all the planets, there is found an expanse which is of no use with regard to the souls of the nations, and spirits, night apparitions, and souls of the devils abide there. The treatise Maraketh Helahuth, in the explanation of Kayat, informs us that at a certain period of time the souls of the 70 nations will lose their existence or be annihilated. The words run thus: in the great year of Jubilee, no nation will remain, for in that year the world will be destroyed and made desolate. In what then have the Jews the preeminence of them, the 70 nations? To this the answer is that the destruction is to be understood of the Caliphate, that is, shells, which are evil spirits, for they shall be quite exterminated from the world, and therefore all the souls of those nations that are derived from them shall be put to shame and cut off, because the causes of their existence will be utterly at an end, and their names be kept no more in remembrance. We shall now show more particularly the notions of the Jews concerning the origin and nature of their own souls. The treatise Shenei Lukot Babarit says, the souls, meaning the souls of the Jews, are a part of God from above. And Rabbi Aaron Shmuel, in the treatise Nishmat Adam, says, the soul of a Jew is a part of God from above. And in the preface to the treatise Shefa Tal, 'tis said, the soul of a Jew is a part of God from above, and of his substance or essence, as a son is of the essence of his father. In the treatise Emek Hamelech, in the part entitled Shah Kiryat Arba, it is said, the souls which he, God, created live and continue forever, because they are sparks of the substance of essence of the blessed God, as it is said, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And in the same treatise, in the part entitled Shah Resha Disa Anpin, we are told, the soul cometh from the name of the essence, that is, the name Jehovah. As it is written, for the Lord's portion is his people. The treatise Nishmat Adam gives the following passage: the soul is the light and spark of the great name Jehovah, and cometh from that great light and from his holy fire. As the scripture saith, for the Lord thy God is a consuming fire. And as one torch is lighted by another, without any diminution of that other, so may we say, concerning the soul, which cometh from the mouth and spirit of the blessed God. We are told likewise, in the same treatise, that the souls of the Jews have their being from the 10 Sephirot, or Sephieros. The words run thus: our souls, which are contained in the unity of the soul of the first man, come from the 10 holy Sephirot, or flashings of light. We are informed in the treatise Shefatal that by the 10 Sephirot, the Kabbalists understand the divinity. The preface to the same treatise Shefatal gives us the following remarkable passage touching the preciousness of the souls of the Jews in the esteem of God, and the little regard God hath for the souls of any other people. After saying that from the 70 souls which came from the loins of Jacob there are 70 nations, the preface goes on thus: it was necessary the law should acquaint us with this, to the end we might be taught that every individual soul of the Israelites is more acceptable and worthy in the eyes of the holy and blessed God than all the souls of any other whole nation of the 70. And this matter is revealed to us in another part of the law, where it is said, all the soul, not souls in the plural, of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 70. It, the law, did well observe this, saying, all the soul, not all the souls, as it saith of Esau, and all the souls of his house, mentioning those souls by the plural number, although they were but 6. How much more might it have been used with respect to Jacob, all the souls, since there were 70 souls descended from him? But it, the law, would teach us that every individual soul of the Israelites is more worthy and acceptable in his eyes, the eyes of God, than all the souls of a whole people of the nations of the world, and that the body of the people of Israel are more lovely and valuable in his eyes than the 70 nations. The Kabbalistic notions of the origin and nature of the souls of the Goyim are derived from the written Torah, which can only be properly understood when decoded by the oral Torah of Kabbalah. Ye shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean, and ye shall not make your souls abominable by beast, or by fowl, or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. And ye shall be holy unto me. For I, the Lord, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine. Neither from a stranger's hand shall ye offer the bread of your God of any of these, because their corruption is in them, and blemishes be in them. They shall not be accepted for you.